On that first night of the Israeli attacks, I was woken up right after 3 a.m. in Tehran to the sound of many explosions, just like millions of others. Family and friends would call me with worrying updates, not knowing whether they should stay or they should leave. At some point, 97% of the country's connectivity was completely shut off, and that meant that a lot of people had no idea what was happening, even as the bombs were falling on their cities. I'm Mazyar Motamedi, Iran-based correspondent for Al Jazeera English, and between us, I feel very worried about the future of Iran and my people. I visited 3 of the bombed sites in western Tehran, but it was the first time that I was personally going up to a building that was actually hit with a missile or a drone, and the destruction was huge. Entire residential buildings had come down, and there was this stunned silence and shock among the people at the scene. The Israelis were threatening that the whole of the city of Tehran, a city of 10 million people, should be evacuating immediately. My family and I, along with our 4 cats, finally decided to leave Tehran, and we finally set off for the province of Gilan in the north. I had this friend call me after midnight while he was on the rooftop of his home with his family, and he told me that he saw the mountains behind his home in Shahran, in the western part of Tehran, light up after Israeli warplanes launched a major strike on a huge fuel depot there. Now, to counter this threat and the Israeli strikes, Iran cut off internet access. This was partly to fight off the explosive quadcopters, as well as to counter cyber attacks that targeted 2 of the country's major banks, as well as its top cryptocurrency exchange. And this went on for several days before the internet restrictions were gradually taken back. Even before those restrictions, and even right now, Iran has one of the most slowed down and closed off internet landscapes anywhere in the world. Now, in the aftermath of the attacks and during the war, Iranian authorities repeatedly emphasized and focused on this feeling of national unity. And we saw the state hold these massive funerals for the people who were killed by Israel. But at the same time, you could see that there was some disconnect between some people and the state. The head of communications for President Pezeshkian, he spoke against people whom we call dishonorable because they had cheered the Israeli airstrikes because they believed that it could potentially help overthrow the establishment. And he said that these people were actually betraying their country. And the president himself has been repeating that people shouldn't be talking about the kind of stuff that could disrupt this unity at this important time. The attack came just a couple of days before Iran and the US were slated to hold their 6th round of talks mediated by Oman, and now there's this huge cloud of uncertainty hanging over that whole process. Iran has now suspended its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency.
We'll use the word unacceptable, that Iran chose to suspend cooperation with the IAEA.
Both Iran and the US are still emphasizing that they do not plan on making any major concessions in any future potential talks. The attacks have stopped, but there's this uneasy feeling that things could change swiftly. But at the same time, two people have somewhat returned to their normal life, and as they go back to their work and their schools, they are constantly reminded of the destruction around them, and they feel that their security has been compromised and the ceasefire could be temporary. Many Iranians feel like they are entangled in this situation over which they have little control. And that's why a lot of them simply look for an opportunity to have a free and dignified life that is not isolated from the rest of the world.